friends have a clubhouse. Clubhouse is 17,000 square feet. It's completely underutilized. The management leasing office people, it started when I removed them from the building. And then I show up, and I'm the guy that made their friend cry, that had to say goodbye, that had to leave the building, who was a thief. I mean, she stole money from me, besides being incompetent, and it was just ludicrous. And we're talking a lot of money, so. Over 200,000 in misappropriation and mismanagement and over. I would say over 250. Yeah, it's over 250. I have a CPA going through it right now. In bookkeepers, I have to a lot of work to do. So I have been advised, and I do look for advice, and I study constantly, and I research a lot. Since July 17th, well, I started studying this wellness thing in December of 2011, and I decided to get involved as a silent partner only. When I had to take over, I knew I had to take over a month before I took over, but I didn't know the details of the conspiracy. But all I did was I started studying ravenously about the whole industry and what I could do to make a big dent in it. So since Austin is such a healthy place, it's such a wellness, center essentially, I thought that this would be the perfect place to create the Institute of Wellness Certification and Advanced Wellness Learning. Because when you get more into this venue, you realize that it's all, people go to Home Depot and get a wellness badge, and they call themselves a wellness expert. A friend of mine works for Flood Control and Pumping Agency in Texas here, and he said we called me a year ago. He said they just hired a wellness nurse. I said, what does she do? He said, we don't have a clue. All we know is she's drug testing people, and so when we see her, we run the other way down the hallway. So he said, I don't know what kind of wellness that is. We're all terrified of it. And so then I have friends that work at Dell, and they said that they had wellness technicians and wellness engineers, and then I ran into a wellness musician, and I'm sick of it. I was getting sick of it all. Because as a linguist, I'm fluent in multiple languages, completely fluent. And the word wellness in the English language is just such a boring word anyway. And I think, why did they say well-being or something that makes more sense, but wellness? But then I started to see a lot of just tremendously positive things in it, and the people were just happy to be happier because of financial wellness, nutrition wellness, physical fitness wellness, family values wellness, spiritual wellness, and it just goes on and on and on. And it's gone from a $60 billion to a $1.9 trillion industry. And I hate when people, it's like saying you're fluent in something and you're not. I mean, the self-ordained proclamators, the ones that, the internet certified junkies, that shit. I don't take advice from people that are not masters in their venue. I don't have time or interest in even a chat about it. I can socialize with anyone. I can chat with the guy at the 7-Eleven for 3 hours straight, for no reason, over an ice cream. Just because I enjoy conversation with people. So I sold my house because I had some cash. And 3 days after my car accident, American Express, after an 18-year Platinum American Express card, shut off my account. I called them and I said I was unconscious in surgery. And they said, well, you're over your limit and past your due date. I said, 3 days past my due date is not 3 months and 3 days. I don't know what the hell your problem is. I said, what about my 350,000 miles? They said, well, those have expired. We sent it to an outside agency for collection. Pay them and reapply and we'll give you another card. I said, I just checked my credits under 800 for the first time in years. And now it's at 655 because you did a charge off. They said, no, sir, it's not a charge off. It's just we sent it to an outside. I said, it says on my credit, it says over limit, count close, remaining balance, $80,100. I said, I pay you guys on time every month. I don't know what the hell your problem is. I said, when are my business Amexes due? Oh, those aren't due for 2 weeks. I said, what do you think is going to happen in 2 weeks when those come due for this unsecured credit? You can fuck off if you don't turn the other one on, and I'll pay both immediately. No. There was no mechanism with which we can accommodate your request. The company had been open for over a year. We were doing very well financially. I don't believe in failure, I just work harder, or get better advice, or work with better people. And so I went to Mansfield, and the recommendations by all of the professionals in this venue say you have to be residents. I was working 20 hours a day from my house supporting the business and on the phone all the time with the business. They said you have to be there. Like, shit, that's not really what I wanted to do, but so I took the advice, and I had a dog that I had for 8 years. She suffocated herself in a potato chip bag when I was at a business meeting. I sold the house in 3 hours for cash. I lost $250,000 on the sale because it was almost $1 million house. But I had paid cash for it. I didn't care anyway. I just couldn't be in that house anymore. My partner and I broke up in that house. My partner screwed up the business, so I moved some of my most favored furniture pieces and artwork up to the spot and dressed it up a bit. And I figured if I'm going to be there, I have to dress it up anyway. So my house was kind of broke up from being a museum, essentially, and then perfect. And then I only kept the house after the divorce. It was $15,000 in taxes a year. The house was paid for, but it's still sort of absurd for one man to live in a big house like that with 2 chihuahuas and a blind dogs and so. When my driver and I found her dead and my staff, I left the house and I sold the house and they took care of her. I found a house in Mansfield Dam, and I went to them, and it was a beautiful small 4-bedroom and minutes, so I thought perfect spot for me. And I wasn't going to buy the first house I saw. Plus, my credit had been adversely affected. And I sold the house because I had some capitalization issues that I wanted to solve because of a tax write-off that I could get. And so, but I lost some money anyway. But I wanted to lease the house instead of buying it. So they said, you can lease it for we'll give you 10 months towards purchase price if you want to buy it in a year. So I got him a cashier's check for $34,000. And he said the next day, my business partner and I were talking about it. If you have $34,000, all you need is 6 more and you can buy it. I said, well, 6 more is not the issue. The issue is I'm not going to buy the first house I see. Secondarily, I don't buy mortgages, I buy houses. And tertiarily, I don't know if I want to stay here after a year anyway. I'm just going to want to recoup my investment and figure out what I want to do with this. So they screwed me on that. So I went to Jennifer, the manager of the leasing office. Went straight into her office. I said, Jennifer, I need an apartment as close as possible to them. And I had the lease on this place already. I negotiated the lease and I had the lease, and she said, no. Well, and I said, Jennifer, understand up front that when I had the fatal car accident, I said, I'm in a dispute with Amex, and so my credit's been affected. She said, well, whatever it is, we'll work through it. I said, great. I said, well, get me the largest 4 bedrooms that you have, or find me a 4-bedroom, I'll take that. I said, and if you care, I'll just give you a cashier's check for the whole year's lease if you want. Whatever it is necessary, I'll take care of it. She said, okay. And I told her, I need the keys by January 7th. She said, well, we'll get the apartment ready for you. The one with the nicest view is the one that I wanted, the balcony in. On the 7th, I called all day long. I finally went. And the Russian gal said, Jennifer just left. Well, she left. Jennifer didn't want to talk to me. The apartment's not available till the 17th. I said to Alla, the Ukrainian girl, I'm fluent in Russian anyway. So I told Alla, I said, what the hell are you talking about? She won't be back until Monday. I need my fucking keys today. She knows I have to pay $2,000 a day more to stay in the house. I have 2 huge trailers filled with 3/4 of my furniture. It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm not going to get all of my shit out of the house until midnight. Where am I going to put it? Am I going to move it for $4,000 into a storage, pay the storage, and then move it for $4,000 again? On the 17th, you're out of your mind. Tell her, she said, I'm sorry, Thomas. That's all we have, and it's not available until October 17th. I went to work early. A friend showed up about midnight, and I went and I stayed in a cheap apartment with him and my chihuahuas, and a whole bunch of food that I had to take from the pantry anyway. And I went into work early on Saturday morning, and Brenda was a girl that worked there. And I said, Brenda, she was the only one in the leasing office. I said, Brenda, is there anything else? And I told her my situation. She said, there are 3 other 4-bedrooms available now. I said, well, tell Jennifer I want one of those. What the hell's wrong with her? She knows I need to be out of the blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'll tell her. Monday, Stephanie calls me, my secretary, and I'm staying in a hotel. Already I'm in a fucking hotel because it's bullshit. The guys from the moving company said, well, we won't charge you, but you have to move in quick. And I'm like, shit. So I'm staying down in the Lakeway Spa, and then Stephanie calls me, my spa director. Or Jennifer needed more information on the credit report. I said, what the fuck is wrong with her on the credit report? I already told her I'd give her a cashier's check for it. I have the commercial property lease anyway. I mean, it's not like I don't already have a place that I'm at all the time in this community. But just tell her to do it, or fill out whatever the hell it is. She said, okay. Well, Jennifer still wouldn't talk to me. And then all of a sudden I get a message from Allah. Jennifer just sent you an email. And in the email it explains that you do not qualify to move in because of your credit. I said, what the hell are you talking about? I have the business. I need to be resident. Stuff's getting stolen by my employees. I'm told that this is the best advice that they could give me anyway. And she told me that there was no problem we wouldn't be able to work through. I said, women aren't passive aggressive. Men are. Women are aggressive. When they have an intent, they'll take care of it. I said, she's obviously screwing me, and she wants to prove a point. I said, I don't care if her friends got fired. Fuck her. She needs to pay attention to being professional. And they said, well, we're sorry, Thomas. There are no exceptions. Well, I knew the construct of it was anyway. So, I called a friend of mine and I had him get me a lease, and I moved in. Solved. Close. But there are plenty of people that aren't on leases that live in that community down there too. There are plenty of people in the community that don't have perfect credit, I'm sure. And I was singled out. And so Matthew lived in Dallas, I lived in Austin. I got a 3-bedroom instead. And I didn't know that my spa director's husband went to school with Jennifer from the management office. I didn't know that my spa director, who was doing nails in the back for $12 an hour, had opened up 3 other spas as a spa director, or as a manager at other spas. And I called her into my office. I said, what the hell are you doing back there making $12 an hour when you open up Horseshoe Bay at the Marriott Spa, and that you worked at Lakeway Spa? I've checked. And that you've been a 20-year cosmetologist. You could do every job in this business. And in my business here. Why are you in the back doing nails for $12 an hour when you know I need a spa director and help? She said, I wanted to prove myself. We talked for a little bit, and just said she hadn't introduced her husband to her children for 2 years because she wanted to make sure that he was appropriate, and she didn't want her children looking up to somebody that might not be around. That to me was credibility. I hired her as the spa director. I moved her from nails straight to spa director. She was an implant. Jennifer and Stephanie wanted to keep me away from the business as much as possible. I had to make a complaint to the Postmaster General because my mail was getting thrown away. Noise complaints started coming from the apartment to the leaseholder when they found out exactly where I was. They're making false noise complaints. Matthew's screaming at me from Dallas saying he doesn't want his credit adversely affected. Write-ups were showing up on the door. He had to drive down and sign some shit. Heather, the girl from the leasing office, who's the one that arranged for Matthew to move in, was very angry about the fact that she got chicked, supposedly. But Jennifer had instructed her staff that anyone who lets me into the community would be terminated. Heather started making the complaints. I only stayed there 5 or 6 days in 6 weeks because it became unbearable to have to deal with this. And I was staying at all these different hotels, and Matthew wanted me out. We had to break the lease. That was cost me $5,000 plus. Everything else cost me. Out of the $24,000 cashier's check I gave him, I only got $12,500 back. Jennifer cost me all of that money, plus all the hotel stuff, plus having to move around, plus my mail getting thrown away.
So you were basically having a hard time since you were not able to live there. So you were staying from hotel to hotel.
Yes.
And so the W, Lakeway Resort, and Four Seasons were the 3 hotels that you would stay at?
Yes.
Okay, all right. What about this venue that you said you went and took the elderly couple to?
Yeah.
What was that venue?
It's just they're black, wealthy people from Dallas. And so there was a black club called Hamilton's that's just a block and a half up from, and I like classical music and hip hop. It's my favorite thing.
A nice mix?
Yeah. Well, I'm very good at actually. I support a lot of young kids in the hip hop venue to get contracts and stuff.
So when you got back from the hotel, you had already checked availability, checked in to the hotel room, met this guy Marcus. He comes upstairs to bring you your toothbrush that you requested.
Yeah, but he actually he asked me before I went upstairs in the elevator, he asked me if it was okay if he came up to talk to me because he wanted to chat with me about something. And I thought it was about Allison, the MOD that doesn't like me very much. And, because we were joking about that. And everybody's so friendly there. And I thought that he was just trying to be friendly too because he was mentioning the fact that I didn't notice him, but he knew that I knew everybody.
So, one of the things I wanted to get cleared up is the first time when he lifted your legs over your head and he spit on your anus, you were able to wiggle out and get away from him. So you went into the second bedroom that was in there?
Yes.
And then he followed you through there and tried to throw you on that bed as well?
He did.
And then you were able to get up and run away from him from that bedroom back into the first bedroom?
Right. It was a frustrating situation because I was still, verbalizing that this was not something that was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And so I wasn't, until my legs were somehow so quickly behind my head the second time. Okay. I didn't believe that it was going to do it. Okay. I lost my lips off. I just had it.
No problem. You were telling me that when he did force his penis into your anus, that he was very hard, very fast, wasn't coming out until he was done with you, and that you were screaming, but this time you didn't have words, you were just screaming. Were you screaming to get help because of the pain, or was it both?
Both.
Both. Okay.
I was screaming because it was, it's weird. It's like my whole, I don't know, it's funny. I was screaming because the whole experience was painful getting to end it. And it was very painful having such a big man on top of me in a position that I would never be in anyway. I think it's a degrading position to begin with. And I'm not a sexual object. I'm a sexual person with somebody that I love. And so, not being able to see him while I was screaming and all I could feel was his fucking penis in my ass. Just, and all of his weight, fuck him.
And while his penis was in your anus, did he say anything to you during this whole time? Okay. Did you notice he had a condom? I know you said you noticed
no
he
condom.
had lube. Okay, so it's no condom. He did ejaculate inside your anus?
Yes, he did.
Okay. So, help me understand, Thomas, the reason behind making a delay report.
I woke up, I didn't sleep for a while. I laid there and I kept going over it over and over in my head. And I felt awful. I really felt awful. But it was so quiet. Yeah. After he was gone, it was so quiet. I didn't look at myself in the mirror or go and wash or anything. I didn't want to see myself, you know. And I got up to look for the card. I remember that. And I saw this last name was Freeberger. I was like, I was right, he was German. But large penis probably had already indicated that to me as well anyway. I lay in the bed. And I woke up. I didn't sleep very long. And I had a lot to do that day. The black people that I went out and danced with said that they were going to come to the spa. And we were closed the next day. And we were closed that day, but I was going to have some people come in. And I met with a friend of mine. Well, I called to see if I was trying to get in touch with him because I wanted to talk to him. And I had questions for him. And I wasn't mad. I was hurt. Very hurt. But I wasn't mad. I hadn't really accepted what happened to me. I felt really strange about it. So
Can you?
I went to dinner with a friend that night, late. And I told her what happened. And she told me to go to Brackenridge and get a rape kit. She said, "Do you still have ejaculate inside you?" I said, "Yes. I haven't even gone to the bathroom yet." She said, "You should go to Brackenridge and get a rape kit." It was late at night. It was already past 11:30 and I was still downtown because of my meetings all day. I was exhausted and I was emotionally just fucking wiped out. And I had to see my dogs, and that was important to me. And so I thought, well, she said that because I asked her if she would go with me. And she said she couldn't, but and it was already 11:30 at night at a restaurant. I didn't know what to do. I had to see my dogs. That was the important thing to me, and so they had been alone for a while. And I was alone anyway, and since then I have a terrible fear of being alone. But I'm okay. I don't like being alone. I'm not afraid of the dark or anything like that, I'm saying. I mean, or of hotels or of people. But I seem to be drawn more to be around people in groups, and that makes me feel comfortable. You know, I feel comfortable, and I'm more gregarious than even I have been before in some ways. But I got angry at the management company for not letting me into the apartment. I was so mad about that because the only thing that kept going through my mind was, how could I have invested so much money in the community that's perpetrating this fucking nightmare against me and disrespecting me by making up a joke about the fact that I don't qualify because of my credit. That's horse fucking shit. That's just, she should have just said, "You're not welcome in the community." No, it's all right. Well, I'll get something close by then. I have no intention of running a spa. I'm not, the only men that should be in the spa is maybe a few flaming homosexual hairdressers that went it out, but It's for women, by women, of women, that kind of stuff. I just wanted to provide them with every option in one place. And then find an appropriate person that was nurturing and maternal and classy and beautiful, whether it be, just beauty, like the smile or the internal beauty. And I found her, so, I met her in January, and she's divine and beautiful and maternal, and she takes care of me. I haven't been taken care of, by a real woman since my mother, and she makes me sandwiches, brings them into work, and, go to the house and all the kids love me, and I threatened her husband that I'd kill him if he beat her again, ever, and, so I'm part of their family now. And I have a really big surprise for her on June 8th. We're doing a relaunch on June 8th. That's it. I can survive my eviction hearing now for my business on May 7th. I have an eviction hearing. But I'm prepared. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in, I'm going to ask for a temporary restraining order against the management company. And I've already taken care of all the objections with which that they're trying to get me evicted by them. And it's just all horseshit. And it's Judge Glenn Bass. And I think that he'll be a little bit open to the fact that I have evidence now. A woman from the community came to me, Lisa Adkins, and said, I heard that you're being potentially evicted, your business is being evicted because they don't like you. She said, well, I want you to know that I heard that you were denied access to the community to be in an apartment because your credit was 655. She said, I got a lease 1 month ago, my credit is 450. She said, if you need my help, I'll help you. Well, that's it. So I go before Judge Glenn Bass, and she will say that my credit was 450 a month ago when I got a lease. So it's obvious that they didn't let him in, and that they would not take his entire lease up front. And then when he did get in, that they conspired to get him out and evicted, and he lost $12,500. Plus, got a double hernia when they wouldn't turn on the handicapped elevator to my leasing space. The Harriet Blackman who said that the manager told him if he turned the elevator on to assist me in any fashion, that he would be terminated. I told him, I said, I'm handicapped with a titanium femur. I have a weight restriction, lifting restriction of 10 pounds. He said, I need this job. I just got this job. She told me she'd fire me. I'm going to tell the judge that. And I'm going to tell the judge all of this. And I'm going to ask for a temporary restraining order against the property management people. And I'm going to ask that he impose discovery on their documentation in regard to my apartment and these noise complaints. And they won't be, I think you have 10 days to respond to it or something like that, isn't it? Is that right? For the civil TRO? Yeah. I have a strong suspicion I'm going to get a restraining order against the management leasing group. If I do that, they will have to temporarily move out of leasing office on the first floor and work out of somewhere else until they can bring their lawyers in to represent this TRO and see if they can somehow confound it. But that is my life's objective now. If there's nothing else I ever accomplish in my life, if I get that TRO on May 8th, you are going to see the happiest man on the planet. I'm going to change my birthday from May 21st to May 7th if I do that. I'm not going in with a lawyer either. I'm going to do it myself.
You seem like a smart man.
I am.
Going back to Marcus, I need to, do you remember how to spell his last name?
F-R-E. Berger.
Can you describe Marcus to me, please?
6'3", dark black hair, 225 pounds, large penis, very strong, horrible kisser,
Color are his eyes.
blue, bluish like they're not blue like mine, but he's
Is he dark, light?
He's dark.
So you're saying he was German, so I'm assuming he's a white male?
He's a tan German white male, yeah.
Tan German white male. Okay.
Mhm.
Did he have an accent or did he sound American?
No, he's a soft voice actually for a big man. Or maybe that's the construct, but
Okay, so no accent.
mm,
Okay. Any scars, tattoos, marks? And I know that he,
nothing, no.
okay. And I know that he lifted your legs over and put a pillow on your face so you couldn't really see anything. But is there anything distinguishing about him or about his penis or about any part of his body that you might remember? Other than it being large. I mean, was there anything else that you can recall about him?
He smelled good. Oh boy. How long does it take to make something positive out of something like this?
How long does it take what?
To make something positive. Like, what is my emotional shit? I don't sit around and randomly start crying. I mean, it's only because I'm talking to her.
Right. You know, Mr. Manning, I don't know. I've never been in your situation or anyone's situation.